We have this saying in the Angie method, and it's called structure equals freedom, or structure equals flexibility. And I don't know about you, but I know myself and a lot of women in our community are in a season where a lot of their structure is built around after school kid activities and weekend kid activities. And it can feel sometimes like your own structure, like the structure you might have built that works for you for work, for your health and fitness, for the way that you like to take care of the home. It kind of might feel like it's getting thrown because you don't get as much time after school to dial in on those things. And I know when structure can get thrown, it starts to feel chaotic. You start to feel like you're doing more reactive behaviors. So on today's episode, we're going to focus on one thing and one thing only, that if you can build more structure in this particular aspect of your health and fitness, not only will you feel like it is way easier to care for your kids or your significant other, but you'll also to be able to take care of yourself in a way to feel and look and be the healthiest version of you. Okay, so what is this one thing? What is this one thing that I feel like is the biggest problem when women come into the Angie method when they're looking to find a forever transformation? It is meal prepping in a way that works uniquely for you, your goals, your preferences. Maybe you're someone that likes variety, for the other eaters in your family, and if you're limited on time. So how do you make it all work right now in this fall season when we know there's a lot of activities going on, where you still have food readily available that your kids will eat, your spouse will eat, that helps you stay in alignment with your health goals and doesn't take you a lot of time? That's what I want to show you today. Okay, you know me. I have my little slideshow ready. You know what? I'm going to show you it real quick. Can you see that? Okay. These are the questions we're going to consider, and I am going to take you through them one by one. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you can get to a place where you can answer these questions on a weekly cadence, you are going to create so much structure in your everyday routine or your weekly routine when it comes to what to eat and how to prep it, that you are going to be relieved of so much stress. You won't have to put attention into it, so it doesn't get up any more of your mental bandwidth. And you're also going to be able to feed your family the way you want and also hit your goals. So question number one. The first thing to consider when you are meal planning and prepping for the week, and I'm only going to focus on dinner right now because it seems to be the meal that creates the most stress or tension in families' lives that have a lot of activities. So what does the schedule look like in terms of the time that you might get home at night? Like, I have some of my moms that don't even get home till 9 p.m. and they're leaving right after school at like 4 p.m. What does your schedule look like with your work demands? Do you go out for client dinners? What does it look like in terms of who goes where and when? So if there's a kid going here at this time and another one going at this time, and what it would look like when you're all at home to eat a meal, is that realistic? So you get to know your schedule really well every single week, because it can change pretty quickly. But if you know, okay, we don't walk into the door until 9 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then you're also trying to get home and get this elaborate dinner on the table, and one kid wants this and the other one wants that, and you're stressed out and it's already 9:30 and you want everybody in bed, it's not an enjoyable experience. Meal planning and prepping should make the experience better, and part of meal planning and prepping is taking help where you can take it when you're on the go. So what I always recommend is you can get plenty of healthy ingredients, sustenance food at fast food restaurants, at gas stations, carry out. And so know the days that it makes more sense for you to do meal prep on the go, where you're like, if we're not getting home at 9, but we have a window between 6:30 and 7:30, go through a local fast food restaurant. Chick-fil-A, Chipotle, even McDonald's, they all have grilled chicken options. So you would choose something that you would eat or prep normally at home. You would just do it on the go. So always look at the schedule of how many dinners you're actually going to prepare that you would be able to serve at home. And then once you know that, you know know how to shop that food, you know how to prep that food, you know when you're gonna eat out, and it all makes sense in your big picture structure of meal plan. The flexibility piece is knowing that it's okay to eat on the go. You don't have to make every meal at home. You don't have to prep every ingredient or make a recipe every single night. If your world and the demands of your world don't allow for that, flip the script a little bit and be like, I meal plan and prep on the go, and I make it work for me. Okay, that's number one. Know your schedule and how many meals you're actually gonna eat at home versus eating out on your meal plan. Now, when it comes to actually prepping the food for when you're gonna eat at home, if you are someone who needs to get the food on the table in minutes, you definitely wanna check out my recent podcast where I did a series of my movie casting method. I've done YouTube videos on this too, teaching you how to prep ingredients and turn it into meals with a lot of variety, because you build these meals based on your mood with food. And so I like to recommend, like, if you're only gonna be at dinner home for like 3 or 4 nights, make 2 proteins and make them in bulk based on the amount of people that you're serving. I am gonna choose 1 protein right now, and I am gonna show you how I do this, but the star of the show, the star of the movie, is always the protein. And so the way you create structure with your meal prep is thinking about protein first and what the family will actually eat, and a protein that can also be turned into something else easily when reheated or made as a leftover. And then once you have that decided, you're just next asking yourself, well, what am I gonna serve with this protein? Like, if it's ground beef, do your kids like taco shells? And you would serve it with that. Do they like noodles? And it would be spaghetti. Do they like a bun? And it would be like a sloppy Joe sandwich. So it's protein first. Vessel is what you serve it with. That's your carbohydrate. That's your supporting actor to the main star of the show, your actress. And then you add in condiments, sauces, spice, herbs, and that's what makes the meal more interesting. And that can be your fats as well. So you know what your after school schedule looks like. You know how many meals you're gonna eat at home, how many meals you're gonna plan for, allowing for flexibility to meal plan and prep on the go, taking help from a store. Then you do protein seconds. Which proteins does your family like on a weekly basis? You've got that decided. Now, how do you create, question number 3, how do you create more flexibility in your schedule to save you time when it comes to meal prep? That's the movie casting method. I am no longer making a lot of recipes unless it's like 5 ingredients and I've already used what is prepped and readily available to turn it into a recipe. And so the way you save time is not making things from scratch anymore. Spend an hour or 2 on your weekend or Monday, whatever day works best for you. Make your protein in bulk. Maybe prepare a couple carbohydrates if you need to. Then you are getting in the house at 7, or you have to eat before you guys leave at 4. You can have meals in minutes like made all week long. Each kid, if they're picky, can choose the ingredients they want and how they want to put it together. So we're going to use the example of ground beef. Now, I'm going to put a little seasonal spin on this because it's fall and I feel like we want, a little bit less grilled food, a little more cozy food. So I prepped a bunch of ground beef. You could do ground turkey, ground chicken, whatever your preference is. If you're plant-based, you can do the the plant-based crumbles. And so you made a giant bulk batch of it, like multiple pounds to get your family through. And let's say you're planning on eating at home 4 times this week, right? You're gonna either eat before or after activities, or you don't have anything going on. How do you take the 4 meals and make them different with 1 protein? So ground beef, 96.4. I am going to first turn it into cheeseburger pie. So yes, that's a recipe, but it's a 5 ingredient recipe. My protein will already be prepped. I'll already have browned it in the skillet. So all I have to do is add in the other ingredients, put it in a pie dish and throw it in the oven. It's like Bisquick, almond milk, cheddar, the ground beef, and something else. And you just whisk it up, put it in the oven. And I don't know about you, but my kids absolutely love it. It is the most delicious tasting cheeseburger. And I put pickles on it, ketchup, mustard. But if you have picky eaters, you don't have to put anything on it. But just by prepping the protein and knowing the night that you can get it in the oven because of what time is available, structure, protein, structure, what night you're gonna do it, flexibility, boom, saves you time because it's already prepped. Number 2, tacos, right? Tuesday tacos, whatever, Taco Tuesday. It's the easiest one. So you prep your ground beef with just salt and pepper. So the night you're gonna have tacos, you can add on taco seasoning or taco sauce. If there's a picky eater and they don't want any sauce, great, you already have it just plain. You can do taco shells or tortilla chips or on a bed of lettuce with tomatoes. We all know how to make a taco. I don't have to spend time with that, but it's, again, easier because your protein is prepped. You're just assembling it with different things to make it interesting. Number 3, spaghetti, right? What kid doesn't like spaghetti? Actually, mine are hit or miss with spaghetti. A lot of times, though, I will zoodle up a bunch of zucchinis at the beginning of the week because I like part zoodles, part pasta. But I'll tell you, I will make giant batches of pasta for them, and then I store it in the fridge in a Ziploc baggie, and when I reheat it with a little bit of butter, or I'll put it back in a pan with some water, or save some of the pasta cooking water and reheat it with that. But that way you can have that already done and ready to go. Your ground beef is ready to go. You throw on your pasta sauce, a little bit of cheese. Someone has spaghetti, good to go with that. And then the last one, take some help from the store. Like, this is the season when we really want those cozy things. There are so many great chili options at grocery stores or at your favorite restaurant, and it's all gonna be the same ingredients that you'd probably cook with at home. But whether it's Whole Foods or your local grocery store that's near you, if it is a local restaurant that you love, I will buy a base of someone's already made chili, and then I'll go home and I will add beef stock to mine to make it a little bit more like vegetable beef soup. You don't have to do the beef stock. You could add more tomato sauce or tomato juice, more of your own spices if you want to give it a little bit of a different flair. Maybe add another can of beans. But then what I do is I take my ground beef because I like meatier chili. I want that high protein, and I'll put a bunch of ground beef in the chili. But I don't have to go through all the steps of making it. Then to make it, again, more interesting, like I'm making it homemade, I'll put on a little Greek yogurt or sour cream, the cheddar cheese. Sometimes I throw some avocado on it. And again, it's a meal in minutes. And so the best thing you can do if you are also in a season where it just feels like there's a lot going on and you want to still have healthy meals, it's figure out your schedule, when and where you will be eating your dinner, so then you can reverse engineer and figure out exactly how much food you need for the week. You prep the ingredients, choosing protein first. You think about the different varieties your family might enjoy it, or you might enjoy it to stay in alignment with your nutrition goals. And that creates all the flexibility in the world to have variety, to hit your health goals, to stick with, or to make your picky eaters happy, and saves you a lot of time. And so that's how I do it. We call it structure equals freedom in the program. We help people build staple meals based off their ingredients. And this is just one component that we teach structure in. But if you get this one nailed down for yourself and your family, you are going to find the active meal prep actually very easy. I just think about it as assembling meals based on the ingredients I have at hand, or being out and about and looking at ingredients and be like, which ones do I want on this menu to assemble into a meal that makes me feel the way that I want to feel. All right, well, that's all I have for today's episode. If you liked it, be sure that you can give me that thumbs up on the screen. If you haven't done so yet, if you want to hit that subscribe button so you get notifications of future episodes. Again, I mentioned our Confident Bombshell podcast. I did a meal prep series. I'll drop those links in the description so you can go grab it. And then if you are someone who feels like, you know what, I used to think structure was so rigid, it didn't allow for a lot of freedom and flexibility, you're like, but I think it would actually help me to have more time back, to be more mindful. One of my coaches, Katie, just recently did a structure equals flexibility workshop for our community. It was a free workshop, and she covered the 3 main principles that we live by in the Angie method, but that were really eye-opening to her and something she had never considered before when she was on her dieting journey. And if you want to catch that workshop, I'll put that link in the description as well. But she mentioned on it, she's like, I was over it. I had gone through the same 20 to 30 pound roller coaster, like, I think she said like 15 times. It was a lot. And it was these 3 main principles, with structure equaling freedom as one of them, that literally has changed her forever. And you can go check out her transformation photos and how she's maintained for 2 years now and has not been able to do that for 20 plus years. So again, I'll drop that in the description if you want a little bit more, coaching or, training on how to create structure that works uniquely for you with your goals. Okay, well, that's all I got. Chat soon. So I already had the ground beef ready to go, and I had about a pound left, which is what I usually use for the recipe for the cheeseburger pie. The boys are at jujitsu with daddy, so this takes about 30 minutes to make in the oven. And it took me about 5 minutes to prep. And that was, I started with the ground beef that was left over, sprayed a 9-inch baking dish first, like a pie dish. Put the beef down, layered it with cheese, use whatever kind of cheese you want. And then for the wet mixture, it's just a half a cup of Bisquick with 6 ounces of the milk of your choice. I had unsweetened almond milk, so I used that. 2 eggs, and then the recipe that I have this from is the Bisquick box, and it says to saute onion. I didn't feel like it, so I just added onion powder and some ground pepper and a little extra salt. It's in the oven. I'll show you the finished product in a second.